When AEC project managers feel overworked or overwhelmed, are their organizations actually fixing the workload or just relying on people to absorb it? In today's episode, we're going to talk about why so many AEC project managers feel overworked and why the real issue has very little to do with time management, but everything to do with how work is structured and supported inside their organizations, which can be done through what we like to call a project management ecosystem. If you're an AEC project manager looking to deliver projects more effectively, strengthen the systems around you, and avoid the issues that quietly hold projects back, this episode is going to be well worth your time. Now, before we jump into the content for today, I do want to tell you about something that's tailor-made for project managers in the AEC industry. It's called AEC PM Connect. It's an event designed for PMs who want to level up how they deliver projects, communicate with their teams, and lead with confidence, all through practical real-world strategies and tools. And here's the exciting part. At this event, we're also going to be announcing the winners of the AEC PM Awards, recognizing professionals who lead with purpose and deliver measurable results. Just imagine someone from your organization being named AEC PM of the Year. That kind of recognition can really boost your people, your culture, and your organization's reputation in a big way. The event will take place on June 10th, 2026 at the Forest Gate Country Club in New Jersey. You can register now at AECPMConnect.com. Again, that's AECPMConnect.com. And if you want to nominate someone for the awards, head over to AECPMAwards.com to download the nominations guide before the deadline on February 28th. I'm your host, Anthony Fasano, and this is the AEC Project Management Podcast. If you talk to AEC project managers today, one theme comes up over and over again. They're busy. They're overwhelmed. And they feel like the weight of the project and sometimes the entire organization sits squarely on their shoulders. Because it does oftentimes. In fact, one PM that I recently spoke with told me, we have just too much to do as project managers. And I would say that this goes for both public and private organizations, because at EMI, we work with both types, building custom PM development programs and really supporting their PMs. And in the private sector, of course, project managers need to manage the projects, manage the clients, but then even sell to other clients or sell more to existing clients, right? Through that seller-doer model that typically exists. So you really are doing everything, right? As a PM in a private organization. And a PM in a public organization also struggles with overburden, right? And overwhelm, right? We're working with a large government agency right now building a program, and they have so many different things going on. They have to manage people, they got to manage stakeholders, run meetings, oversee schedules, and not just project management, program management, right? Several different projects that are kind of working together, right? Whether it's an intersection to another intersection or a highway to another highway, all these things add up, and they do create a lot of stress. Now, what's important to understand here is that most of these project managers aren't struggling because they lack discipline or organization. I think sometimes we say that, but that's wrong. In fact, many of them are doing exactly what they've been told to do, right? They plan out their weeks, they manage their calendars well, they try to stay ahead of issues and be a proactive project manager, as we like to talk about on this podcast. They attend time management and productivity training, right? They've gotten good at that. Some even sacrifice personal time to keep their projects moving. And yet, despite all of that effort, the workload just doesn't ease up. And that's really usually the first sign that something deeper is going on in their organization. Because when workload problems persist, even after you've kind of fixed, quote unquote, the time management issue and some of these other things I've talked about, it's really more of the system, right, that they're operating within. In a lot of AEC organizations, project managers have quietly become the solution to almost every operational problem. And when roles aren't clearly defined, the PMs step in, right? When processes aren't consistent, the PMs have to adapt. When communication breaks down, guess who comes in and smooths it over? The project manager. When the staffing doesn't work out, well, the PM just has to kind of figure it out. And at first glance, when you see these things happening, it looks like leadership on behalf of the project managers, right? Which is great. It looks like accountability, right? It looks like they're taking ownership, which in a lot of ways they are. But over time, it really does become unsustainable. Because what often happens is that the strongest project managers are rewarded. And you know what they're rewarded with? More responsibility, right? Not because the system is improving, but because those PMs can absorb the pressure, right? Think about it in your own situation. Who do you ask to do something when you need it? Your A players, right? Your top project managers. They become your safety net. And the organization unintentionally, usually, designs its operation around the personal capacity of these PMs as opposed to around a scalable ecosystem or a scalable support system. And eventually, even high performers will start to feel stretched thin, not because they're ineffective, but because they're carrying work that shouldn't belong to them in the first place. And this really is where a project management ecosystem comes into focus, which is what I'm going to talk about today to help support you and your organizations to avoid this burnout and help drive sustainable project management. Project management doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? A PM's workload is truly shaped by everything around them, right? How the projects are sold, how the projects are staffed, how responsibilities are handed off, how decisions are made, and how much support exists outside of that project manager role. And if those elements aren't aligned, the PM kind of becomes responsible for all of these gaps. And again, that's not a time management issue, that's an operational issue. And one of the most telling signs of a broken ecosystem is when organizations respond to workload stress by focusing only on individual behavior, right? They encourage the PMs to, hey, you got to prioritize better, or you've got to be more efficient, figure out how to get this done, right? Without ever examining whether the work itself is structured in a way that makes success realistic. And this really leads to an important question that every organization, public and private, should be asking honestly. Are we solving workload problems with systems or with people? If the answer is people, the organization may appear functional in the short term. They got a couple of good A players that can juggle a lot of things, right? Their projects get delivered, their clients or stakeholders are happy. And for a private company, the revenues and profits keep coming in. But here's the other side of the coin. Burnout starts to increase. Turnover becomes more frequent. Knowledge gets trapped inside certain individuals instead of processes or systems. And scaling becomes harder because the organization's success depends on specific people holding everything together. This is why so many organizations just feel like they're constantly busy, but they're not stable or sustainable. In fact, one of the organizations we're working with, they recently had a wave of retirements, and all those people had the knowledge, and it wasn't passed along very well, not good succession planning. They call it a silver tsunami, and now they're feeling the gap of that knowledge in a big way because they relied on people instead of systems and operations. A healthy project management ecosystem does not rely on heroics. It doesn't require PMs to constantly compensate for unclear expectations or weak processes. Instead, it creates clarity around roles, ownership, and support so that PMs can focus on what they're actually meant to do, lead projects and lead people. When the ecosystem is designed well, project managers don't feel like they're drowning or, constantly being asked to do one thing or another. There's structure, there's consistency, there's predictability, and most importantly, there's shared responsibility. It's not all on them. All right, and this is where conversations have to happen, right? People need to think through how you're going to build your PM ecosystem. So let me spend the rest of the episode here talking a little bit about what a PM ecosystem is, because a lot of you are probably still thinking, well, what is this ecosystem that you keep referring to?
In the AEC industry, skilled project managers are the backbone of success. EMI's AEC PM certification offers tailored training, ongoing support, and exclusive access to premium content that keeps your team sharp and effective. From foundational training to advanced leadership tools, Set your team apart with certified growth. Learn more at AECPM.com. That's AECPM.com.
Last year, I wrote a book. The book was entitled Beyond PM Training: How to Build a Scalable AEC Project Management Ecosystem. And the reason I wrote this book is because what I've determined through working with many, many organizations through the programs that we design at EMI, most organizations in the AEC industry think that if they just do PM training, whether it's a couple webinars, an all-day session where they fly their PMs in and they check that PM training box, that they're going to be great with project management. That's completely false. Hence the title of the book, Beyond PM Training. And by the way, if you want to request a complimentary copy of the book, you can go to AECPMbook.com and just fill out the form there. Again, that's AECPMbook.com. But basically what I do in the book is I talk about the different pillars and components of an ecosystem that have to happen for you to do great project management long-term, using systems, not just relying heavily on your people. All right, so what does an ecosystem look like? So the ecosystem that I take you through in the book has 4 phases to it. Phase 1 is your PM pillars, which consists of having clear PM job titles and roles for your project managers and PM career paths. Phase 2 is PM development. This is where you need to assess your PMs regularly and provide development programs to them. Phase 3 is PM utilities, meaning that they need to have tools and templates and the right software to be able to run and execute their projects. Phase 4 is PM support, which is your project management. How do you onboard project managers? How do you mentor them? And do you have a PMO, a project management office or something like it, or are you planning to build one, right? So these are the components of an ecosystem, and you need to have them all. Maybe not all overnight, but if you identify them and you start to work on them, they're going to be really helpful for you. So what do these different pillars look like? So phase 1, the PM pillars, is job titles and roles for PMs and a career pathway. I can't tell you how many organizations, if I ask them how many project managers that they have employed, they don't know. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I can run a report. I'm not really sure. Sometimes our people are called engineers / project managers, or our engineers are project managers, but it's not a title in our company. You have to have really clear job titles for your project managers and career paths. So a junior PM, a deputy PM, a senior PM, because by doing that, then you're going to be able to understand the needs of your project managers before you go into the next phases of development and mentoring. Because a junior PM has different needs in terms of training and knowledge than a senior PM. So establishing those is very important if you want to build sustainability and a project management culture. Secondly, phase 2 is your PM development. On a regular basis, you should be assessing your project managers using some kind of assessment or a tool or conversations. We use something called the AEC PM Behaviors Assessment, which is a tool that we have available that we've developed that tells us about the behaviors needed to be great project managers across the different process groups and whether or not they exist in an organization. But you can use whatever tool is best for you. But how can you develop your PMs unless you're assessing them regularly? And then the second piece in this phase is your development program. A lot of people refer to this as PM training in the industry. We like to use the word development, but do you have a training program? Is it internal? Is it external? I hope it's not a boot camp where you send people to for 1 day or 2 days, because then they'll just get overwhelmed with information and they'll never put it into place. So we talk about a little bit in our development programs and in the book about how you can create a program that is spaced out and easily digestible. Phase 3 in the ecosystem, PM utilities, is your tools and your templates and your software. Do you have good standards for your project managers? Are there agenda templates? Is there a tracking system that they can use to track their projects? Do they know how to use the software you have and all the bells and whistles? Do they know how to run the reports? We actually developed something called the AEC PM Toolkit at EMI that has like 50 tools and templates that we use with our clients when we design their programs, so that if we're teaching them how to run kickoff meetings, we can also provide them with the agendas that they can provide to their project managers. So think about the utilities that you need. Because again, think about burnout. If every time you need to do something, you have to create an agenda, you have to create a template, you don't know how to run the software, right? All that leads to burnout. If everything's organized and easy to access, a lot easier, right? And then lastly is phase 4, which is PM support. How are you onboarding new PMs so they can quickly understand the way you manage projects in your organization? You need to do something around that. How do you mentor PMs? Most PMs will tell you that mentoring has been the biggest source of support in their careers. Well, are you providing mentoring? Are you matching up mentors? Are you giving new PMs a mentor? How are you doing that? And then the other piece of this phase is the project management office. A project management office is an office or committee dedicated to all things project management in an organization. The forms, the tools, the templates, the training, right? Someone's got to be in charge of that. Now, for a smaller company, maybe one person, you may sub it out, right? We do some fractional PMO work at EMI. But ultimately, you should have something in place to oversee project management, or else what's going to happen is every office, every location, every PM is going to operate differently in your organization. And that, again, leads to stress and burnout. So if you want to build an organization that is more project management friendly, that helps your PMs to be successful, you need to build a PM ecosystem. And you can, again, check out my book at AECPMbook.com. Request a copy there. But there should be an ecosystem that focuses on these 4 different phases. The pillars, which is your job titles and roles for PMs and career paths. The PM development, which is how you assess your PMs and build a development program or hire someone to build it. Phase 3, your utilities, meaning your tools, your templates, and your software. Do you have them? Do they know how to use them? And phase 4, how are you onboarding and mentoring PMs? And do you have a PMO or some kind of center of excellence for your project managers to manage that? That is the key. All right. So I hope that you found the episode helpful today and you can start to work on some of these. And the last thing I'll say is, are you going to have all these overnight? No. Do you need to tackle them in order? No. Some of our clients will start by having us build a PM development program for them. And then while they're doing that, they'll go backwards and think about the career pathways, or then they'll work on the tools and templates with the program and we can help them with that. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be in order, but you should just start somewhere and start building out your PM ecosystem today. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, I would ask you to please subscribe to our channel here. We put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better project managers and leaders. And again, you can check out the book at AECPMbook.com where you can request a copy. And until next time, I wish you all the best in your project management endeavors.